shines through you when you leave me room.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this practice of the virtues in this feeling experiencing year. And as it said in the introduction, we're choosing saints, not because each saint belongs to a particular virtue, although of course we may have seen some connection, but we have a relationship to them. We have some sort of experience in our own lives or in their place of ministry or certain qualities that they connect with. You may find other saints to inspire you in this feeling experience, and you may not connect with that particular saint, but through us talking about their legends and their and our experiences, the intention is that you open up this feeling experience aspect of yourself. And as this, again in the introduction, it was mentioned that you will choose one of the virtues to practice that you already have a feeling for. If it feels that it's not quite connected with you, you could pass that by. So we're beginning with this first month with Aries, which is devotion leading to the power of sacrifice, with possibly the most well-known saint, Saint Patrick. It is St. Patrick's season. He died, his celebration of his death day, the 17th of March, is celebrated not only in Ireland but throughout the world. But he is an extraordinary human being in revealing many aspects of how devotion leads us forward. And the legend of St. Patrick, he's captured as a young man and taken into slavery in Ireland. And he has a dream, or it's said it's a dream, that there is a ship waiting for him, and he manages to set himself free, get to the shores, and sure enough there is a boat that he gets upon and gets taken back to Wales, where he's originally from. But then he gets called back to Ireland. And, that's quite something to actually get called back to the place where you went through such hardships and, in a way, difficulties. And yet it's there he goes and does his ministry. It's there he goes and does what some people would say was some of the most intensive converting of those peoples to Christianity. Now, if we look deeper into the esoteric nature of this, then through the work of Rudolf Steiner, we are given pictures that the Hibernian mysteries, which are part of the great mysteries, the oldest mysteries that existed in Ireland, already were aware of this being of love, the Christ being, way back before the 4th, 5th century, where we see Patrick enter into this ministering of Christianity. So we could say that the great mysteries had already laid the ground. And some would say that's why there was the least, in a sense, martyrdom or resistance, because it was already there in this Celtic stream and in this Druid knowledge and in these very deep esoteric trainings that this new mystery was going to come into being. So the Hibernian mysteries are not only seen as the last of the great mysteries, but also connected to the future mysteries, the incarnating of the new mysteries that comes through the incarnation of the Christ being. So from an esoteric point of view, perhaps it isn't Patrick that brings Christianity to Ireland, but he certainly is able to integrate it into the consciousness of the common community. He's able to take the relationship to nature and to be able to bring about a meeting, a joining of the two streams, the old schools of initiation with the new schools of initiation. That's quite a profound picture in itself. And the other picture of St. Patrick that we all probably know about is that he supposedly drove the snakes out of Ireland, which of course everyone would like to say there were no snakes, but the snakes were a symbol of a kind of egotism that connected to this Luciferic force, or this force that we see in the Garden of Eden, that tempted the human being into a different kind of consciousness. Again, we're given pictures that Ireland never really fell in that journey from the Garden of Eden. So Ireland itself doesn't carry this geographic double. Many people, when they come to Ireland, they can feel at home there quite easily, whereas when we travel to other lands, there is like a needing to get used to the place, needing to find the place. It takes time. It takes sometimes months, if not years, to feel at home somewhere. Whereas Ireland sort of offers something, and this is really deeply connected to this lack of this double force that arose from this so-called falling from the Garden of Eden. So that we wouldn't say that there were snakes. In fact, we could say perhaps Patrick just helped that transition into this new phase. But besides all of those pictures, we are left with this extraordinary connection to this human being, like all of the saints, that's dedicated his life to the journey, to not just his own transformation, but also the transformation of others. One of the things about being in Ireland is you can't avoid really meeting the saints, and you certainly can't avoid meeting St. Patrick in one way or another. But certainly the saints are ever present. And we've both spent a long time in Ireland, and in a way, in such varying experiences. I'm living close to where one of the saints is from, but we've also visited areas of where St. Patrick is, there's Patrick's Well, the mountains that are connected to St. Patrick. But actually the whole island has this saintly quality. Would you like to say something about that, Andrew?
Well, I have to completely and utterly agree with you, because even before I'd visited Ireland, I had an inner feeling that I must go. And that's an inner feeling that's never really been wrong with me in previous. So I managed to eventually get to Ireland. And as you say, that there's an immediate feeling of being at home, which is fairly inexplainable. But it's a feeling of mystery. You're in a new place, yet you feel at home. And I think part for me as a musician and is the music itself that seeps out of every nook and cranny in Ireland, that simply calls for, is a deep call to discover that mystery that exists there. And sure enough, for me, Ireland is a magical place in the sense that the people themselves seem to imbibe, just a simple type of spirituality in their very being. And that comes out especially for me with the music. So I found it a place that welcomed me immediately, a place where I felt at home, a place where I could feel the pulse of the saint's heart in the beat of the land itself. And around every corner was some new experience that would just put my heart on fire, that this was a very special place where very special feet have walked for generations.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, in the sense that, obviously, from an esoteric point of view, Ireland was seen as, in a way, a place of schooling. People came from all over the world to learn, to learn about the new that was coming in, and to then take it out, to share it. And there is something that's still there, even though we might say these are ancient mysteries. There is something still available. And part of that is, I think, the people's connection still to saints, to the elemental world, to the fairy kingdoms. There's something that allows this, as you say, mystery to be a part of daily life.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it is in the people, you know. I mean, you can feel a certain attraction to a place, and there may certainly have been, there are fantastic places to go where the saints have known to pray. But I think when you open yourself up to Ireland, where the treasure lies is in the sparkle of the eyes of the people, in the wit, in the humour, in the music, and it's unmistakable and utterly attractive.
I think you've tried to capture that something in your music in St. Patrick's Parade. There's a lot of joy in that. There's a lot of play in it. It's really quite moving, and at the same time we've also allocated St. Patrick to devotion and the power of sacrifice. And devotion isn't necessarily, well, certainly isn't a solemn path. I think you yourself, having walked quite a different path from Western esoteric initiation, would recognise that devotion can be a very joyous thing. It's not about the solemn sort of lashing yourself towards doing something. And I think the saints really often expressed their extraordinary capacity to endure, but also their love, their joy of being on that path.
That was the rock of their endurance, was simply an outpouring of their own heart, because when you have that passion for truth, for love, and you follow that, whatever you go through is by the by. You still carry that passion, carry that love, carry that thirst for truth, which keeps you marching forwards. And that's where your joy comes from. So from the outside, people may think there's some type of sacrifice going on, but really from the inside, it's not a sacrifice at all.
So you also mentioned this call, which is an interesting experience esoterically, to feel like this inner voice. Perhaps it's one of those first awakenings when we realise there's a wiser being leading our lives. We hear it in St. Patrick, whether it be the dream or again a call to know where to go, where to be. And it's quite something, when that's alive in you, you can almost be certain that even when you're facing hardships, you know you're meant to be there. And as you say, that call leads you where you need to be. And there's a joy in that, even if it's not easy.
Absolutely. And I think, for me, the saints are signposts. But the compass lies within. And when you follow that call from within that demands you grow, that demands you search for that love, then as you go, you start seeing the signposts. And then, you get your direction. You can maybe tweak it here, tweak it there. And it's just, and that's why it's called the mysteries, because in the moment you have no idea. You just have this feeling to move and you see a signpost, and then you go further, and it's a constant journey of discovery.
Yeah, and I think that's where some of the joy comes of knowing there's those that have walked before us, and that we might have an affinity to certain journey. And I mentioned this in the introduction. It's kind of interesting to see why we have a certain affinity to certain saints. A lot of people have an affinity to St. Patrick. Perhaps it is connected to the joy that can come through. So let's listen to this song.
Yeah.
And then we'll go into the exercise. So this is just to help us open to the feeling experience. Andrew has been able to, as a musician, to work with what he experiences and then to bring it into music, which allows someone else, in a way, a doorway into experience themselves. And so, thank you, and let's listen together.
Absolutely.
wonderful to hear that music so that we can connect with that feeling, experiencing part of our inner life. And now we let that go and turn towards the virtue that we want to work with this month. As it's mentioned, it doesn't have to be the virtue of the saint. In fact, it's important when we're working with this year's virtues to choose a virtue that you have some access to. If you're trying to develop one of the virtues, you'll go back to the first and second year and you can look at the working of developing them. But here you're wanting to look at the strength and health-giving forces that this virtue provides. Now I'm connecting this with a particular esoteric exercise because in this exercise we follow the same feeling stream. That stream is from the heart to the hands, to the feet and to the head, which is after we've had a feeling experience is the movement of the etheric stream that helps to bring that to the whole organism, how our whole organization, so that we can be strengthened by it. So the verse is, I feel sunlight in my heart. Sunlight turns to warmth in my heart. My heart's force streams into my hands. My heart's force streams into my feet. My heart's force is a gift from the divine. I will work with this divine gift. Thus may I hope to become strong. And each month we will place a virtue in that place. I feel this virtue in my heart. This virtue turns to warmth in my heart. And my heart's force streams into my hands. My heart's force streams into my feet. My heart's force is a gift from the divine, and you feel that stream upwards into the head. I will work with this divine gift. Thus may I hope to become strong. And it's with this we begin to recognize the healing, strengthening of our etheric life through what virtues live in us.
I am the one who shines through you.